Right, welcome to my pickups from York and possibly Halifax as well. I'm having to do this slightly off the cuff because I haven't got a lot of time spare before the weekend now. So I'm just going to sort of run through everything and you can discuss amongst yourselves because I may also not make the premiere. But as you all see, the York Antiques Emporium that I visited loves to wrap stuff. And they did wrap it extremely well, but it may have been a spot of overkill because the only thing in this bag is this. Now this is a little something that I've been meaning to pick up for a while. And I thought that as it was there, I would pick it up from there rather than getting it from an eBay seller. And this is a little Konami eagle. And they also do they do all sorts of stuff, Konami, but I've got the odd example of Thunderbirds done by them, which I'm not even sure I've really had taken a close look at. I think it might be lurking in a drawer somewhere. But as I just did my my breakaway video, I thought I'd pick this up. And in fact, ironically, this is the first rescue eagle that I've ever picked up. And rescue eagles are denoted by these red stripes on the sort of the passenger pod. So it's quite cool. It's quite a decent weight. It's got some really nice sort of line painting on it. It's not sort of weathering as such, but it's just that those sort of the highlighting of the panels that give it that much more depth. It makes it look somehow bigger than it actually is. So I really liked that when I saw it. And as I say, the odds of actually coming across one were probably fairly slim. You also tend to get them on these little pads. So it's by far and away not the biggest eagle ever, but nonetheless it is a nice representation of an eagle and it's incredibly well painted for its size. So, I like it. So I'm going to have to do some rustling because they've literally wrapped everything to within an inch of its life. I did swing by Cosmic, so I've got a couple of Captain Americas there. So I've got 12 and 13. You can see there. Possibly a little bit too close to my my display area, but most things will be not as big as the comics, strangely. So let's have a look at what else I got from the antiques cabinets. And there are a good number of cabinets down there, and they are big. As I mentioned on my York video, you've seen them in Mark's videos before now in a little bit more detail in terms of the overall size, but there were more modern toys in there than I was expecting somehow. So now what's this? Oh yes, this is now I've never had one of these in the hand before. It's a rather delightfully gruesome alien, and if I'm right, and I could be wrong, and I haven't actually got my glasses on, so I'm even more out of focus than average, but I think this might be... Oh, hello. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. Wow. Oh, that is cool. Now see, if this is Kenner, the packaging for these always put me off getting them somewhat. Because I always thought so it does it if you just move the leg, the spines pop up. Look at that, that's brilliant. And the packaging for these always rather put me off them because they looked daft when you just look at the actual sort of almost sort of animation style packaging that they come in. And yet I rather like that. I like the sort of the action that's built into it. And obviously they've taken the sort of Alien 3 approach and they're doing aliens that have inherited characteristics from the creature that's been used to breed them. Now, I've no idea where it would say what it is on it, and I've made the tactical error of not putting my glasses on, so the odds of me actually being able to read anything are slim to none. But Gareth, I think, is quite good at identifying these aliens, so I'm sure he'll be screaming at the screen to tell me that it is indeed a Kenner alien. And he may even know what the official name of it is. I'm sure I could find it out, but as I say, I haven't really had time to do the research. But I do like it. I like it more than I thought I would if it is indeed a Kenner one. I can't imagine it's anything else. But as I say, I've done no research, so I stand to be corrected. I even like the fact it's got proper sort of alien-style fingers on its hands. I don't know, but it's cool. It's cool. I do like that. I'm quite chuffed I picked that up. It wasn't boxed, so it wasn't expensive. And it actually stands up by itself really nicely as well, which is nice for an action figure, which is essentially what it is after all. Now then, this could, I don't know who this is. So I've gone one spaceship, one action figure, which is pretty much par for the course for me. But then I saw this chap, and it was just one of those times where I thought, it's completely random, but I really rather like it. And this, again, is not something I normally indulge in, but this is a character, a villain from Batman Beyond. I just liked the size of him and the look of him. I thought was brilliant. This is a guy called Shriek, I believe. So his thing was to use sound as a method of attack. And that sort of emanated from these discs on his hand. But it's just a very cool, so he's got ankle articulation there. Good shoulder articulation. I don't imagine his hands will do that much because he's got too much armor for them to do too much. So yeah, they're a bit sort of fixed. But he's got sort of an up-down elbow joint. Now again, I don't know who makes this particular flavour of Shriek. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever seen a Batman Beyond figure. I think maybe some of the DC Universe lines might carry one, but I've never really looked for one as such. But given that I've got a sort of a Batman element to one of my display cabinets, I'm not entirely sure why I haven't thought that through and gone for one. He looks as if he's got knees, but they don't seem to want to do anything. Oh no, they do. Just a little bit stiff. Okay. Yeah, so you just definitely have knees. But it's just a really nice figure, but I'm not sure if it's NECA or if it's, I don't know. I'm really not sure on this one. I'm looking on his feet, but I don't know that I can focus in well enough to actually get any more information from that, unfortunately. Oh, that definitely does say something, doesn't it? No, I can't read that without my glasses, unfortunately. So you might know what this is before I do. It's always possible. It's always possible. There's definitely some information there, so you might have enough to go on by now to tell me who actually produced this. But as a display figure, I think that's really, really nice. And he came with a stand as well. So it's definitely, it says DC on it, which suggests to me this, even if it's not them, it's obviously licensed by them. But that said, mind you, I haven't got many of my DC figures actually out of their boxes, so I don't know if they normally come with that stand as standard. But anyway, is it a DC Multiverse figure? It could be. It might be about the right size for that, so maybe it's a DC Multiverse figure. Now then, so that was still York. Oh, that's not a pickup. Okay, right. So what did I get from Red House Antiques? Now, this was far more random, because I literally just went around the place, and it wasn't really my sort of thing so much. Lots of choice there. If you wanted really properly old antiques, they had a lot of properly old antiques. That's not a problem. But less obvious toy sort of section, more sort of bits and bats really. But there was a music section, and in the music section there was a comic section. And in the comic section I picked up these. Now, I have a bit of a penchant for doing this. I kind of feel sorry for the new universe because I don't think it ever really got a look in with Marvel. But it was Marvel at a time when I was first finding United States Marvel comics in the UK for some apparent, some random reason. So I picked up a few of these. So I got New Universe there. X Factor, Welcome to Mutant Town, population 0, apparently. Again, I've got no idea what this one's about, but I just picked up a few that looked interesting. Knights of Pendragon. Now, this is one I was aware of. I may even have some issues of this still somewhere, but I have this sneaking suspicion I might have sold them at some point way in the past, and that's issue 12. But I had some of these, and again, Captain Britain, which I don't know whether or not we'll ever actually see him as part of the MCU, but you never know. Also, Excalibur. Now, this was, if I remember rightly, Excalibur is a British superhuman team. I think that's right, because it is the titular Excalibur, and as you can see, Captain Britain there on the corner there again. So, pretty sure that is a sort of a British superhero team. For some reason, also featuring Nightcrawler. Now, I had a little conversation on one of Gareth's videos about this. The question is a DC character who I know virtually nothing about, but I have seen him in the Justice League cartoons from time to time, and he does play quite a big role in those. So for someone who I was completely unaware of before I saw the cartoon, this is actually, I think, the first time that I've seen his comics, but I had this weird sense of deja vu all day in York, because I saw loads of stuff that I'd seen in Gareth's shop in the morning, in York in the afternoon. This was one of those things, although ironically, I didn't see the Question graphic novels he's got until his video, but they were there. I've also got Battletech in 3D. And no, I don't have any glasses. And no, there's nothing wrong with the video. It's going to look weird because you're supposed to wear 3D glasses when you look at this stuff. So that just amused me just because it was generally properly 3D. But it also interests me because it is properly Battletech. It's not Robotech, it's Battletech. So these are all sort of mechs that I loosely recognise. So that's going to be quite interesting to try and get a proper look at. Because I've never really heard of a Battletech comic being a thing as such, but clearly it was. I mean, it's number one. In fact, this is the funny thing about this little selection that I've got. Several of them were number ones, and I used to have a thing about getting comics that were number ones, because I used to think they'd be worth more. Not necessarily the case, but they can be. Picked up this. Oops, a daisy. There goes my Heath Robinson setup. Hang on. Live and unedited as I try and resurrect it. Hang on. Oh, dearie me. You can tell I'm rushing, can't you? Right, let's see if that'll hold together. It might, if I'm lucky. Sorry about that little bit of drama there, folks. That's going horribly, horribly wrong behind the scenes. Okay. I'll see if that holds together for 30 seconds. So I was going to say that if ever there was a TV show that deserved a comic adaptation, it would of course be Heroes, because essentially it is a comic book on the screen. And back in its day, of course, Heroes was massive. I think it got a short-lived revival, didn't it, at one point? But I don't think I've even seen all the episodes of that. So again, just interesting to get it as a comic for the first time when I've not seen it as a comic before. So just thought I'd pick that up. Now, this is one that I remember from way back, Revolver. This was really interesting because it's a sort of revival of Dan Dare. Here we go again. But it's a really sort of odd revival of Dan Dare, because it's a Dan Dare sort of who's grown sort of old and, not really sort of believing in anything anymore. And that's sort of, it's a sort of quite a dark version of a character who I think was normally fairly sort of jolly in his sort of 1950s kind of heyday. So it's kind of weird that that they sort of brought him back at a random point early in the 90s, and then sort of tried to make him a thing again. So that was released in July 1990, and again, it's the first issue of Revolver. Now, I don't think Revolver lasted very long. It was almost like a sort of an independent version of 2000 AD in a sense. So I don't really know what they were hoping for with it overall, but it was just one of those sort of slightly more experimental comics that originated in the 90s. Not unlike this one, although this is perhaps less experimental. But this is another one called Strip, as in comic strip. Now, this is a pretty eclectic mix of stuff, because you've got martial law, Grim Toad, the Man from Cancer, and Kevin O'Neill Speaks Out. Now, I I think this got Death's Head, the body in question, in it at some point as well. I'm pretty sure that was strip. And again, this is number one. This is what I mean by I think if somebody was getting these in the 90s, getting number ones. That was Feb 1990. And that was fortnightly as well. And some comics, obviously do choose to go fortnightly rather than anything else. So I'm going to take those away now and hope that the rest of it doesn't collapse again, because that was annoying. Final pickups. Let's have a look. Now, I should say I collected this because I immediately Bagsied this when I saw it on one of Gareth's videos, because I have one of the other ones of these, and this is a trilogy. It is 3 rather lovely Art Asylum Borg figures, Star Trek Borg assimilation, you can see there. And it's just again, not something I would normally set out to collect, but there are only 3 of them, of which I now have 2. And this one's got a lovely clear window compared to the one I had previously. And just look at the detail on the armour. I mean, that is proper best of both worlds style Borg armour. It's really, really impressive. So really nice to have that. I wouldn't really want to get it out, although equally part of me kind of does want to get it out, but I'm certainly not going to do that right now. I'll have a think on that one. I did pick up an item from eBay, strangely, physically in Dewsbury, but I haven't got that out of the box yet, and I'm not proposing to do that now, because that is going to form part of a larger sequence of videos that I want to do at some point in the future, so I'll keep that one back for the time being. And just some other little bits and bats I did pick up from Halifax, from a little sort of second-hand bookstore in Halifax. So I got this, which I think is going to be quite interesting to look at. It's Thunderbird's Fab cross-sections. So it's basically just a whole book, quite a large book actually. It's kind of A3 size almost, of cross-sections of various Thunderbirds vehicles. And I'm pretty sure it's the sort of thing you can probably get posters of, on eBay and that sort of thing quite easily. But that was just something that tickled my fancy when I was there. I also picked up, of course, because it would have been rude not to, A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because I seem to have lost my original one. I think I lent it to somebody, and I keep meaning to pick another one up, and now I have. And of course, those of you who are familiar with one of the t-shirts I frequently wear on Cosmic Council, being Don't Panic, will appreciate the significance of that for me. Now, I also picked up 2 much, much older books, and I said to myself, as I think Ed once said to me, you find the things you're supposed to find, and I rather like that as a concept. Now, back in the day, you used to get books like this, and these are hardbacks. Effectively, they are not paperbacks, they are sort of solid card, and you get wonderful stuff like this in them. This is proper old school science fiction. But the fascinating thing about this is, Michael Douglas Naylor, okay. Tom Swift in his Aquatomic Tracker by Victor Appleton II. Now, if you bear with me 2 seconds, I just want to show you something. And I'm back just like that. Now, when I was little, I loved these books. I must have got these in the very early 80s, and I remember distinctly getting them from the Lake District. A series of books called Tom Swift by Victor Appleton. Notice anything familiar? Victor Appleton, Tom Swift. As it turns out, I haven't researched this recently, but I do remember that I did look into it once, because I was trying to figure out whether or not I had all the Tom Swifts. And it turned out that Tom Swift was actually a sort of generic name, a bit like James Bond, for a series of books released under the pseudonym of Victor Appleton that have been released over decades. So as you can see, these are shiny and pretty new, and these were really good science fiction books. They were properly used physics to describe, what's going on with the hero and the adventures generally. It's very, very cleverly done. But these must be one of the earlier stories. Before he goes into space, he was doing stuff under the ocean and so on, but again with a science fiction basis. So it was like, a young science fiction series of novels to try and get kids into science fiction. But what were the odds of me finding these really, really old Tom Swifts randomly in a secondhand bookshop in Halifax? And if you have in your head pictures of piles of books, floor to ceiling, vaguely organized into sort of thematic order, but with the guy who owns it being relatively old and not knowing exactly what he's got in the store, you'd be spot on, because that's exactly the sort of second-hand bookshop it is. But it just had those sat there, and as soon as I saw Tom Swift and the sort of imagery on the front, I immediately thought, yep, I know what that is, and it is going to be this series that I'm familiar with. So incredible that I should just trip across it. But just one of those happy circumstances that happens sometimes when you wander into shops like this. And, all I was trying to do was support the local businesses, and just sort of see what was there, really. So we've got Tom Swift and his giant robot, Tom Swift and his outpost in space, Tom Swift in the race to the moon, Tom Swift and the cosmic astronauts, the visitor from planet X, the asteroid pirates, his aquatomic tracker, his 3D telejector, his sonic boom trap, his sub-ocean geotron, the mystery comet, the captive planetoid. But interestingly, the list on this book on the right is longer. So we've got Cosmotron Express, Dynafall capsule, G-force inverter, captive planetoid, mystery comet. Okay, so now we're into the original list, I think. Yeah, but interestingly, none of those are the ones that I read in the 80s when I was little. So it's definitely a different era of Tom Swift at that point. But just fascinating to come across that completely out of the blue. This is why, I think as I and others would maintain, sometimes it's worth just putting the legwork in and just getting out there and seeing what's about, because you just don't know what you're going to find, quite literally. So I think that was it for the pickups. I didn't get anything from the Sore Thumb gaming store. There were some interesting things in there, like Zoids and Masterpiece Transformers and things like that, but I didn't stretch to any of those. Oh, I am forgetting one other thing, actually. I am forgetting another pickup from the Cosmic Toys, which was this. I keep doing this. I keep picking up random Jada stuff. Jada, I don't know. But this is a non-transforming Optimus Prime. I got a bit excited when I first saw it because I thought it might be that nice Hot Wheels one he showed us all the other day that transformed. It isn't that one. But nevertheless, I think it's a rather strikingly coloured Optimus Prime cab of the old flavour. So again, it's one of those ones where, yeah, I'm really glad I picked it up, because I remember, I think Mark's mentioned looking for it before now, perhaps not coming across it. But I just think it's cool that it's his cab, and that's, that is classic Transformers logo, and obviously classic Prime G1 Prime there on the front cover as well. So it is very, very cool. So I will definitely find a place for that to be displayed in due course. It's even got a little sort of mini image there of the back of the G1 boxes. They all used to have that sort of artwork on the back of them, so that's nice to see as well. I'm not sure how his pipes are a bit tall, possibly, but apart from that, it's cool though. It's cool. I definitely like it. I don't think they're actually that they're not that big on the toy. That's weird, actually, unless they somehow extend. But you can see they're not actually that tall on the toy. Oh well, that's curious. So, on that bombshell, I shall leave it there and rather hurriedly try and get this put together for you and out on a Thursday evening in my normal slot. But I'm hoping someone will have done the premiering bit for me, because I almost certainly will not be attending it, because I've got a child to pick up from a station. So I will leave it there for now, but do like and subscribe as ever, and I'd better try and find a home for some of these. Cheers for now.